Hola, ¿necesitas sacar el paquete de gramática? Porque hoy vas a tomar apuntes sobre más verbos, la mayoría irregulares en el subjuntivo. Remember, we form the subjunctive by going to the yo form, dropping the o, and adding the appropriate opposite ending. What do I mean by opposite? Well, AR verbs get ER-IR endings, and ER-IR verbs are going to get AR endings. We are going to have some irregularities that we're going to want to keep in mind, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Remember, we're not really focusing yet on when and why we use the subjunctive mood. Right now, we just want to focus on forming it. We're going to have 6 common verbs that are regular in the subjunctive. First one is saber. Saber means to know, like knowing information or knowing how to do something. Our forms of saber are sepa, sepas, sepa, sepamos, and sepan. Next we have haber. Haber is a super weird verb. Sometimes it's a helping verb. Usually it means there is or there are. Like in the present tense it's I. In the imperfect tense it's había. That's that verb. Our forms of haber are going to be haya, hayas, haya, hayamos, hayan. I've underlined and put in red the LAU said form of haya because that's the form you're probably going to be using most often. Our next verb is estar, means to be. Our conjugations are esté, estés, esté, estemos, and estén. Please note an accent on all forms except for the nosotros form. Next we have dar. Dar significa to give. Our forms of dar are de, des, de, demos, and den. Please note the accent on both the yo form and the lao said form. Next we have ir. Ir means to go. Our forms are vaya, vayas, vaya, vayamos, and vayan. And finally, we have the verb ser. Ser also means to be. Our forms of ser in the subjunctive are sea, seas, sea, seamos, and sean. These verbs you probably will just need to memorize. I would recommend making flashcards. You could write the infinitive on one side and the conjugations on another. I think that would be a really great idea. Now we're just going to talk about some other irregularities that we want to keep in mind when conjugating in the subjunctive mood. First of all, verbs ending in AR and ER that have stem changes in the present are going to continue to have their stem change in the subjunctive mood. For example, the verb cerrar is an E to IE stem changer. It's still going to have that E to IE stem change in the subjunctive. Es importante que cierres la puerta. Same thing with volver. It has an ODUE stem change in the present tense. It's going to have an ODUE stem change in the subjunctive. Es bueno que yo vuelva pronto. The stem changes for IR verbs follow the same pattern as in the present tense for all forms except the nosotros and vosotros, where they are going to have either an E to I stem change or a ODU stem change. This one's a little bit harder to keep track of. For example, divertirse is E to IE. It's going to be E to IE in all forms except for the nosotros and the vosotros, where it would be E to I. Es imprescindible que se diviertan. Now, if that had been the nosotros form after the K, I would have said es imprescindible que nos divirtamos. Same thing with dormir. Dormir is usually an ODUE stem changer. It's going to be an ODUE stem changer in all forms, except for the nosotros and vosotros. It's going to be an ODU stem changer. Es necesario que todos durmamos aquí. But if I had wanted to maybe say it's necessary that I sleep here, I could have said es necesario que yo duerma aquí. So we want to make sure we keep track of this weird stem changing thing with IR verbs in the nosotros and vosotros form. Verbs that have an E to I change in the present tense have the same stem change in all forms of the present subjunctive. For example, pedir, it's going to keep that e to I stem change. It doesn't matter if it's the yo form, the tu form, the nosotros form. Any verb that is e to I is going to be e to I in the subjunctive tu in all forms. For example, es mejor que tú pidas primero y que nosotros pidamos después de ti. You'll notice that right here I had the tu form, I had an e to I stem change. Right here I had the nosotros form, I had an e to I stem change. Now that we're done taking notes, don't forget to take your Google quiz. Remember, I recommend making flashcards of the 6 major irregulars. I might also make flashcards of the other rules. I think that would be a really easy way for you to help remember everything we've discussed in this video for your quiz later on in the week.